Let's make some noise. Come on.
Yes, indeedy, Nick Foles. Let's make some noise, everybody. Welcome back to the second and final episode of our broadcast week of The Final Word with MattyB here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. Tonight, we're going to party like it's 2022. And, you should feel some solace in that. I could say we could party like it's 2012. I don't think anybody would like that. So, of course, I am MattyB, and I am here with you tonight. And we have a lot of stuff to get into tonight. The Phillies swoon continues. The Flyers, at least we know now when Game 1 will be. It'll be Saturday at 8 p.m. We got some broadcasting updates to give you here on the network as we were waiting anxiously, as well as a lot of other, I guess the Flyers were and the Penguins were, and a couple other teams that were waiting to find out when they were playing on Game 1 or Day 1 or whenever that was going to be, before we could go forward with any kind of hard sort of decisions. But based on what I think is what the schedule will be, and again, I don't know, but using the day on, day off mantra, that typically what they do in the playoffs, we've come together with at least 4 games of Clear the Ice. So, we ready to get that up and running for you. Next week's going to be a tough week for a lot of us. You're only going to see me once next week on The Final Word. I will be doing post games galore the rest of the time. So soak me in while you can, as again, the Flyers situation continues to hurt this show more than anything. But it's a good thing, right? Because the Flyers are back in the playoffs, and we'll start talking some Flyers and some Penguins. We can start breaking that down if you like a little bit. And the Phillies, day off today. No news coming out of South Philly about any potential changes. I don't know if anybody's sitting around actually waiting for that announcement. Perhaps it comes tomorrow. Perhaps it doesn't. More than likely, it won't. More than likely, we're going to have to endure Rob Thompson for at least another month of this, which I don't know, man. That's inhuman. That's torture to have to endure another month of baseball like this. But we'll get into the Phillies as they look ahead in a big, huge NL East showdown with the Braves. A weird, schedule glitch. So we just did a 3-game set with the Cardinals. We got the Braves. Then we go to Chicago next week for a 4-game set against the Cubs before going to Atlanta for a 3-game set with the Braves next weekend. So a weird Braves-Cardinals week of baseball happening for the Phillies, as this could not have come at the worst particular moment in time for them as they're struggling to get out of their own way. Phillies conversation will once again be forefront of our topics here tonight. We're going to do the Of the Night segment. No card again tonight. Again, I just did not have time. I didn't get home until 2 hours ago, so no card segment tonight. But we will do the Of the Night segment and see where the conversation takes us. And yeah, the phone lines will open tonight as well, as we'll get into that. So thanks for coming by on this beautiful Thursday night. Philadelphia Eagles defensive coordinator and Super Bowl champ Vic Fangio will throw out the first pitch on Friday night at Citizen Bank Park. Okay, Star Wars, is that okay? Why is that noteworthy? Vic Fangio? I don't know. Okay. Is that going to hopefully change our trajectory? What's up going on, man? Elephant in the room checking in. Good evening, MattyB. Let's go Super Bowl MVP. Nick Foles, straight patron saint of the Final Word. Let's go Flyers beat the Penguins. Yeah, and that is obviously what everyone seems to be churning along with these days. Let's go Flyers beat the Penguins, because the Pittsburgh Penguins, they're just going to lay down. Yeah. Pittsburgh Penguins, or a team that enters the playoffs with oodles of playoff experience. They know how and what it takes to win a Stanley Cup, but they're just going to lay down to the young upstart Flyers. Right? It's going to be a cakewalk for that young Flyer team that still lacks a true number one centerman and an actual number one defenseman on the team. I hope that's not what people think. This is going to be a tough series, and it's going to be a fun series. It is. When you return to the playoffs after a 5-year absence, and you get your rivals in the first series of your first playoff appearance in 5 years. That's good TV right there, man. That's great TV. And I guess the NHL thought it was because they put the Flyers and Penguins smack dab on Saturday night at 8:00. I was really hoping for a Sunday or Saturday afternoon game. But what it is, we'll deal with it. But yeah, I guess the NHL looks at it the same way. Does Sid the Kid, Malkin, and the rest of them have what it takes to beat the Flyers, the young upstart Flyers? Now, the way the Flyers have been playing over the past few weeks, I will say it's not going to be easy because youth versus experience, or we could say youth versus age. How is that going to be? The Flyers have been amongst what some of the things the Flyers have been doing so well since the Olympic break has been the high energy stuff. Just really fast, really crisp. And how are the Penguins, who are, again, a little bit on the older side, going to have to react to that? So, I'm not sitting here telling you the Flyers are going to get swept in 4. I'm also not telling you that the Flyers are going to sweep in 4. This series has got 7 games to me written all over it, and it's going to come down to, I think, the most default answer I can give you, and that's between the pipes. That's going to be what it comes down to for me. What the Flyers are able to do, Dan Vladar specifically, between the pipes against the Pittsburgh Penguins, Malkin, Crosby, and the rest of them, how are they going to, how are they going to fare? Now, the Penguin goaltender, Stuart Skinner, had a .900 save percentage on the season for the Penguins against the Flyers, finished with a 2-0-1 record with a 2.25 goals against average against the Flyers this year. Skinner, Vladar, I mean, if you look at it kind of going down the middle, it might be sort of 50-50 there. It could go either way. And that's kind of how I'm looking at this thing. I think the Flyers are going to skate with the Penguins. Crosby's going to get his. Malkin's going to get his. But what can the Flyers do in terms of answering that bell? And it's going to come down to, I believe, again, the most default, casual fan analysis that I can give you, and that's going to be between the net or between the pipes. This game's going to come down to the goaltending. If Dan Vladar can continue this magical run he's on this season, a la Jordan Bennington a few years back, can we ride the coattails of that? Do we have one of those happening here? Who knows? But it's definitely going to be, to me, it's going to come down to the goalies, Stuart Skinner and Dan Vladar. How do they react to each other? The other thing that kind of tips in the Penguins' favor is their power play and their penalty kill versus the Flyers' power play and the penalty kill. Lost in all this pandemonium and all this fandemonium has been the Flyers' terrible play on special teams. Absolute terrible play. Less than 80% effective on the penalty kill. Less than 15% effective on the power play. For those of you who are new to playoff hockey, and there should be probably a lot of you that have forgotten how it really goes, just think about how you are during playoff football or playoff baseball, where every pitch you're on your feet for and every snap you're on your feet for. Well, it's the same thing in playoff hockey. Every faceoff, every pass, every deflection, every turnover, every giveaway, every power play, and every penalty kill hinges in the balance in a playoff game. Heading into the postseason, that does not give me a warm and fuzzy for the Flyers. Now, they have been playing remarkably better, a little bit better, especially down this stretch of the last 5 games of the season. They played better. I shouldn't say well. They played better on special teams. But special teams has been a problem for this team all year. And how does that hyper-focus go into the playoffs against a team like the Penguins, who can score, who can put the puck in the net? Like him or hate him, Crosby is one of the greatest players to ever play the game. Like him or hate him, Malkin's a very comparable, Jaromir Jagr to Mario Lemieux type guy, right? Like him or hate him. That's just the way it is. These guys can score. How are the Flyers going to do on special teams? And And can they maximize their opportunities on the power play? Again, I'm peeling away the fandom here. I'm peeling away the fanboy layer, and we're looking at hockey. We're looking at the X's and O's on the ice. So yeah, I'm a little concerned about the Flyers special teams. Not their strong suit in 2025-26. Got to give the edge to the Penguins on that. Now, as far as youth and energy and perhaps the attrition factor, yeah, I mean, you got to give it to the Flyers. They got the young legs. They got the young bodies. They got people that are out there playing with house money. The pressure's not on the Flyers. That's not what this is about. The pressure's solely on the Penguins for another year, another run, one more last run potentially with Crosby, one more last run with Malkin. All the pressure nests hit the Penguins. I get that. So I'm going to give the attrition factor definitely to the Flyers, their advantage there. So I guess when you kind of scratch it down the surface, it goes 50-50. But they're going to have to play the game, and obviously a lot of people are looking forward to it. I am, of course, looking forward to it. Best of luck in the postseason. Sixers, who cares? Flyers and Penguins, Sixers and Celtics, you kidding me? Who cares? I was not. Who cares? It'll be the most charged environment some of these young Flyers will ever have to see at this point. And I realize what playoff hockey is. All right, I've been to a Flyer playoff game back in the days when they actually had the playoffs. I understand the sixth man involved there. I understand that concept 100%. It is going to be electric. And it should be. They've been waiting for 5 years to sort of, actually longer than 5 years because of the 2020 season. Those games were played in the bubble. So it's been longer than 5 years. They've been waiting a long time to let that playoff angst out. But this whole notion, again, because as we were running down the stretch of all this and everyone was like, well, it's be a great experience for them. I mean, where do you think these players have come from, right? Do you think these players have never been in a championship environment or have to deal with a championship type situation or played in championship level hockey? Of course they have. These are the best of the best, the 1% of the 1%. These guys have been competing and winning their entire lives. They know what it's like to play in a pressure situation. They know what it's like to play in a playoff situation. They've been in front of raucous fans before. Of course they have. These guys didn't fall off a turnip truck yesterday and be like, oh, welcome to the playoffs. This is the first time ever. Oliver Bonk and Denver Barkey last couple seasons when they were up in the OHL, their team was going into the finals every year. They know what it's like in that environment. Of course they do. So the notion of, well, this is going to be a great experience for them and the crowd's going to be something that they've never seen before. I disagree with you, Elephant. I do. They have seen this stuff before. They have gone through this situation before. To me, the whole experience factor for the playoffs is a flimsy-ass excuse of why everyone's happy that they got there. No, I mean, that's a terrible excuse. These guys know what it's like to play at the playoff level before. Perhaps not in the NHL, but in other levels. So I disagree with that sentiment only to the fact it was I just want us to realize that the players that are on this team are the 1% of the 1% of hockey players in the world. Think about that. And then they've come from championship programs and championship pedigrees in the past. And they played in some high pressure moments and under a lot of stress and with the fans and all that. So I get it. It's going to be something great. And that, especially on the home ice, right? In Philadelphia, they probably haven't seen anything like this, but to think this is going to be some sort of groundbreaking experience that these guys have never experienced before, I'm not buying that, man. And I'm getting a little annoyed by the whole thing because playoff experience, I don't even know what the hell that means. What does that mean? Ooh, you want to get the experience that you're playing hockey in mid-April? Who cares, man? They do have that experience. Wasn't worth a draft pick, in my opinion, but it is good that they're back, and I'm looking forward to it. And house money, and we'll see how they do. So yeah, I'm absolutely excited about it. So, but before I get too deep into the program, we're almost 16 minutes, and let me remind again, I mentioned the programming shuffles that we're going to be going through. I'm not going to reveal too much about next week yet, right now, because I haven't told the guys yet, and I'm not going to tell you guys before I tell the guys that actually are here doing all the work. But just to kind of give you an idea of how this is going to look, let's take a look at what's coming up. So here's your the rest of your week in a glance. You got me tonight. Tomorrow you have Big Al with the Philly Friday Frenzy along with the Fighting's Final. So Al will be doing a twofer. On Saturday, of course, this is not updated to reflect the Flyers, but it'll be the best of the week of It's a Wrap Sports, Phillies and Braves. And this is where the Phillies are really throwing me a curveball. Friday and Saturday, or I should say, yeah, Friday and Saturday games are being televised on all three of these games, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I should say, are all night games. And they're all nationally televised, every single one of them. So they're throwing sort of a curveball on all this, especially Sunday night, throwing a curveball. They're costing me an opportunity to be doing the final word. So this is how it's going to look with the Phillies heading into this weekend against the Braves. And then this is what the lineup will be for that series. You're going to have Al on Friday doing his twofer. I'll be here Saturday and Sunday doing the Braves games because we found out earlier today that game one will be Saturday. Now, here are the first four games in what I think it's going to be. I think game one will be Saturday, 2 on Monday, 3 on Wednesday, and 4 on Friday. That's how I think this will break. If it doesn't break that way, we'll adjust the dates. But this is going to be your lineup for those games. That won't change. And you're going to have Mike in game 1, me in game 2, Mike in game 3, me in game 4, Mike in game 5, me in game 6, and Mike in game 7, all if necessary. So that's how it's going to break down next week, or starting Saturday, heading into next week on the Clear the Ice show. Flyers, Penguins. Again, the dates might change. It may not be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, maybe some other days, but this will be what your lineup will be for hosts on the Clear the Ice show. So take that all in, enjoy it, and don't ever tell you I didn't give you something. And of course, next Thursday night, we are going to be covering the complete first round of the 2026 NFL Draft in conjunction with the Gridiron Weekly guys. And you might see some familiar faces hopping on that show throughout the night. We are going to provide you complete first round draft coverage on Thursday, April 23rd, and that will be the only show on the network that night. So there will be no Fighting's Final that night, and there will be no final word. It'll just be the draft. So that's one of the reasons why you're only going to see me once next week, because I'm clearing the runway for Thursday. And that's why I really hope that the playoff schedule is Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because that would line up perfectly for me to get a draft show in and not sacrifice Clear the Ice in the process. So that's how that's going to look. And then as we get deeper into next week and things become a little bit more clear, I hope we have something more about the playoff schedules tomorrow, maybe game 2 and beyond, maybe the whole series, who knows? I'll let you, and we'll update accordingly as we go. So that is how it's going to be over the course of the next week. And it's, again, a good problem to have, as we are all very busy over here and trying to do our very best for you, including me. So let's get the show started as we do normally with your day in Philadelphia sports history. So let's strap in, strap on, strap up. Keep your head, hands, and feet inside the car at all times. And here we go. This night back in 1988, after finishing in first place in the Patrick Division the previous 3 seasons, the Flyers had uncharacteristically stumbled into the playoffs in 87-88. They were 33-9 on the season, finishing third place, facing the Washington Capitals as their first-round opponent. On this day, the Flyers lost a heartbreaker in Game 7. Having a stranglehold on the series, leading 3-1, the Flyers, led by defending playoff MVP and all-star goalie Ron Hextall, they fell apart, losing the next 2 games to set up a deciding 7th. 3 regulation periods and an OT later, the Capitals, who eventually won 4-3, were moving on, and the Flyers were sent packing. The final game was a fitting microcosm for the series. The Flyers had the lead in the game 3-0 before Washington came back and won the game and the series. I remember that series. Because coming off of that 87-88 season, 86-87 season, when they went to the finals against Edmonton in Hextall's rookie year, the year that Hextall won the Vezina and won the Conn Smythe as a goalie for the losing team in the finals. there was some high expectations for this team moving forward in the next year. And I remember that heartbreaker series, man. I remember, and then it really never got better because in 88-89, they caught fire a bit and got to the Eastern Conference Finals or semifinals. Was it the finals? I don't know. And then before losing to Montreal, before the entire train fell apart after that for the Flyers. So on this night back in 1988, the Flyers was a heartbreaker in Game 7 of the 1988 Eastern, or I would say at that time, the Wales Conference quarterfinals against the Washington Capitals. And that was your day. That was your day in Philadelphia sports history. Brought to you by the great folks here at the It's a Wrap Sports Network. And I want to remind you, the Birds Blast is getting ready to return. We will be back with the Birds Blast. This is no joke. We will be back on April 30th. Me and Kyle will be back on April 30th to go over and give you sort of a review of the Eagle free agency period, review of the Eagles draft, talk a little bit about the upcoming season, kind of get your appetites wet a little bit, and then we won't talk again for the next 4 months. But the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn returning on April 30th for our unofficial first episode of our 7th season, unofficially, because the season won't start until August when we come back. But me and Kyle always get together around this time of the year, talk free agency and review the draft, and then sort of kind of get things rolling. So be on the lookout Thursday, April 30th for the return of the Birds Blast. Can't wait. Has it been 4 months already? But I can't wait to see Kyle again. Joe Hale's checking in. What's going on, Joe? MattyB, any chance of doing a cross brand Clear the Ice? I don't know what the hell that means. What's a cross brand? Like a Christian brand of Clear the Ice? When we do a church post game show? What the priest was talking about? I can do that. I don't know how any good I'll be at it. Well, I'll give it a shot. I don't know what a cross brand. What do you mean by that? So let's get in. I guess let's talk. Let's continue off the talk on the Flyers. We broke down a little of the analysis, not much, looking at some of the factors that are going to potentially separate the Flyers and the Penguins. Age versus youth, pressure that the Penguins have in trying to get another year, potentially another cup run, one last one, versus a team that's playing with house money that's not even supposed to be in the playoffs. Goaltending, Stuart Skinner versus Dan Vladar. Special teams. Flyers have had problems with special teams all season long. How does that affect them going into the playoffs against the Penguins? And essentially the Malkin-Crosby effect. Crosby tears the Flyers apart. Has done it his entire career. Does that keep going? So that's a very basic baseline analysis of the Flyers and Penguins series in a glance. Now, I really, truly believe this has got 7 games written all over it, and I truly also believe it's going to come down to the play of the goaltenders, and that's what's going to decide this. And I think Dan Vladar and Stuart Skinner are sort of, even on this whole thing. I don't think there's one that's better than the other. I think there's one that could rise above the other, but I don't see it being a lock that the Penguins have the advantage between the pipes. They don't. Vladar's been playing amazing this season. I have utter faith and confidence in him against the Penguins and against Stuart Skinner. To me, it comes down to that. And again, it's the most default fanboy answer I can give you, but I truly believe once I weigh the options and I weigh back and forth and I see, you got 2 Hall of Famers in Malkin and Crosby against a bunch of no-name risers that are, starting to kind of, most of them are starting out on their NHL journey. You have also Travis Konechny with an opportunity here to get into the playoffs. How he kind of rises or falls to this occasion, we'll see. But, the goal scoring, the Flyers did not average, they averaged less than 3 goals a game for the season. They averaged less than 3 goals a game on the year. That's not good. right? But I guess you kind of have to throw stats out the window a bit heading into the playoffs. Their opposition, they gave up over 3 goals a game. So somehow they ended up winning, getting into the playoffs and having a 98-point season when they got outscored by their opposition. They were outshot by their opposition, both, but not by much. I think their opposition averaged about 26 shots a game. The Flyers averaged 25. Takeaways have been a problem with the Flyers. Over the last 2 seasons, the team averages 14 takeaways, or I should say giveaways a game. They average 14 giveaways a game. That's been a trend that's carried over since last year. Takeaways, on the other hand, they're averaging 4 a game. So now their play in that most crucial giveaway takeaway area of the ice, which is the neutral zone, center ice area, where all these wonky odd man rushes seem to sort of originate from, has gotten better over the past 6 weeks. That has been one of their calling cards of how the season has improved. It's been their play in that neutral zone transitional game area. It's gotten better. But has it gotten that much better? Because their giveaways are still up there, even during that time. And again, they're giving a puck away on average about 14 times a game. And they're only taking it away 4 times a game. So, I'm not going to sit here and pump it. Everyone's all excited and happy, but most of you don't even understand like what inside of this a little bit and looking at the numbers and how they don't make any sense right now. But yes, everyone's 0-0, right? We start over again. I get that. But I'm going to have to go off of what the trends are. And I'm not talking about this year. I'm talking about last year too. The Flyers power play has been terrible since 2021. But the giveaway takeaway problem was a problem last year, and it's still a problem this year. Penalty kill was a problem last year. It's still a problem this year. These are things that are going to literally be the difference in a playoff game. Just like in football and just like in baseball. Can the Flyers avoid that mistake at that time during a game that's going to flip the whole game around? And can they avoid that? And more importantly, can they maybe recover from it and rebound from it as they move forward through the game? So it's going to be a very interesting series. I cannot wait to see it. I cannot wait to see what they do. But I am not punching their ticket on to the second round. I'm not jumping up in joy like that. It doesn't work like this. It's a 7-game series. It's a grind. And the Flyers, in my opinion, have the edge of attrition versus the Penguins. They have a younger team, a faster team, I think, a little bit more of an aggressive team because they're trying to create scoring opportunities versus the Crosby Malkin-led Penguins who scheme their scoring opportunities. The Flyers have to create theirs. They got to get fancy with it. They got to try those passes. They got to forecheck at times when it doesn't make any sense to forecheck. They got to back check a little bit more aggressively than a normal team has to do because they got to try to generate that offense because they don't have those types of players that you can scheme around and say, we're going to set this play up for this guy. No, they got to try to, create their own offense. And that's an offense that averaged less than 3 goals a game during the regular season. Is that going to be enough heading into the playoffs? Against anybody, regardless if it's the Penguins or the Hurricanes or anybody, is that going to be enough? But there are a lot of X factors too, right? And we talked about some of them. Youth, house money. What expectations do they have? They don't. They don't have any. Penguins do. And they're going to tell you that they don't, but they do. They're trying to squeeze another year out of Crosby. It's almost as like the Phillies were going into the playoffs against, say, the Washington Nationals, who came out of nowhere and made the playoffs this year. And just I'm using this as an example, a hypothetical example. The Phillies, with their high payroll and older players, are running up against a team on paper that they're more superior to, that they have a lot more playoff experience over, that they should on paper beat them. Nationals come out of nowhere with no expectations, and they pull the okie doke on the Phillies, which this season might actually be something. That might actually be the reality, but it's almost kind of that same thing. So we'll see. We shall see. We shall see. with Mike and someone from the Pittsburgh side. We were actually talking about that tonight in the chat. I think there's something coming up. I'm not going to reveal any of that. Mike has got game one. And I know there was a conversation had between Mike and somebody from the Pittsburgh side because I was involved in it for about a hot second. And then I dipped out. But I know there was a conversation. And yes, we will at some way incorporate the Pittsburgh guys in this. It'd be criminal not to. I got a whole group of guys that, operate out of that side of the state. And why not? Just like this year when the Eagles played the Steelers, we're going to do something with them, in that ilk. So yeah, we're 100% going to take advantage of that in some way, shape, or form. But it ain't going to happen on my shows. I can tell you that much. I'm sorry. I'm not sitting and doing a show with a stinking Penguins fan. I ain't doing that. No, when I'm on the call in the post game, no offense to those guys, I ain't having no damn Penguins guy on my. Ain't no way. It'd be like me doing a damn Eagles post game show with a Dallas Cowboy guy. I ain't doing that. No, man. But each his own, and I love them guys. Trust me, I do. But I got my morals and my values. But I think Mike is getting something together with them. Yes, phone lines will open. Flyers came out of nowhere. They did. And Star Wars, I want to ask you this because you're a passionate fan, and you're not a homer. You're a very level-headed guy. Are you under the impression, and I'm asking you this personally, are you under the impression that the Flyers are a finished product? And what I mean by that is there, obviously there's always room to grow and always room to get better and always room to bring in more talent and look for more players, secure better opportunities and options. But are you on the side of this is it. This is the beginning of this core of this team without any significant upgrades of rising into a Stanley Cup competitor over the next couple 3 seasons? Or are you on the side of there's still a lot of work to be done and some eggs are going to have to be broken over the summer in order to significantly upgrade this team in certain areas to ensure that they are a team destined for Stanley Cup glory over the next couple of seasons? Because I'm interested to know how people are coming out on them. Because right now, all is right in the Flyers world. I mean, there's no need to make any changes at this particular moment in time. But when the reality does come crashing down at some point this postseason, and I'm not saying I want that to happen. I would love for them to make a run to the Cup. What the most unlikely thing that would ever happen? Maybe this is what, after suffering 50 plus years without a Stanley Cup, does for you. You get one of these types of seasons. And again, a la the St. Louis Blues of a few years ago, they make a run all the way to the finals and they friggin' win the Cup. Now, if that happens, I don't know. It'd be hard to try to talk anybody into making significant changes to that. But are the Flyers a finished product? And again, I know that they're not 100% finished. They're never going to be. But would you be okay with just riding out this group next year? Another year older? Another year with Tocchet? Or are you still on the side, or are you on the side of more work needs to be done? Some more eggs need to break here for us to become a Stanley Cup competitor. Because I want to know where the fans come out on that. And Star Wars, as I said, I asked you this personally, and you still think there's still works to be done. I agree, 100%. So when I go back to my original question about the Flyers making the playoffs in the first place, how much really is this beneficial to the team going forward? Right? Unless they catch it completely and ride this thing to a Stanley Cup championship, which of course is what everybody wants. It's what you play for. But at the end of the day, when it does end, when that ride does end, they're going to end up with about the 25th, somewhere between 22 and 25 overall in that first round. Was it worth it? Was a first round series or, a first round series against the Penguins, a second round series against whoever, I think it's Boston or Ottawa. I think that's the bracket they're in. Was it worth it? Was it worth losing potentially 10 spots in the draft to do that when you still have some work that needs to be done? So I think it's an interesting question out there that a lot of Flyers fans don't want to talk about. And the funny thing about it, and again, I'm not tooting my own horn here, nor am I tooting the network's horn, but I'm a hockey guy, right? I will, I can talk hockey all day long, all night long with anybody at any level, international hockey as well. I know there's a lot of fly-by-lately kind of fans reappearing on the radar, and that's fine. I'm not saying they can't be part of this and enjoy themselves, but you're hearing a lot of stuff coming from people that, let's be honest, they don't know what the hell they're talking about, right? When it comes to the overarching situation with this team, they're just living in the moment, and enjoying themselves, which is totally fine, and that's great. But I don't want people to get brainwashed by these people to think that this team is done. This is what they are. No, there's a lot more work that has to happen in order for them to be perennials and for a Stanley Cup opportunity, hopefully in the very near future. So I just don't want people to get confused by the false prophets out there. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. But let's open up the phone lines. Let's get it going. Your dime is yours. If you want to get in, you can. You know the drill. Pop on. Click the link to take you backstage, and you can jump in here with me, and we can talk for as long as you want, or maybe not as long as you want, because I'm going to cut it a little short tonight. I am not. I'm a little tired, so. But we'll have a conversation. Flyers are on the table. Phillies are on the table. Sixers are on the table. Again, if you want to have a one-sided conversation about the Sixers, feel free. I'm not going to be much of a discussion point with you. I don't care about the Sixers. I've not hidden that. I don't really care at all about the Sixers. I don't like the NBA anymore. So, but I'll talk. I'll listen. I'll listen to what you have to say. 100%. Eagles are on the table, as we get closer to the draft. And are the Eagles losing traction in this? And that's another point that I don't think anybody's bringing up. With the draft less than a week away, or a week from tonight, right? I don't remember years past being this quiet about the Eagles. No, man, there's been a frenzy of activity about the Eagles leading up to the draft. This year seems a little quiet. Now, have they taken a backseat to the Flyers? Yes, and they have rightfully so taken a backseat to the Flyers because the Flyers are in a playoff run. Have they taken a backseat to the Phillies? Yes, most rightfully so because the Phillies season's falling apart. But what do you guys make of the Eagles kind of taking a back seat right now? I mean, the king of the city's football, their sport, is taking a back seat to the Flyers and to the god-awful Phillies. Because, again, I don't remember this being this quiet about draft coverage ever before. So that's on the table, too. Whatever you want to talk about is on the table. Let's go to the phone lines and Joe Hale. Joe, what's up, man?
I owe you an apology.
With what?
For saying that there's the NHL draft sucks this coming year. I owe you an apology.
Why is that? What revelation did you come to?
The prospects are better than what I thought because I looked up some of the names.
Well, you don't have to look them up. We talk about them every night on this show.
Like, I looked up other stuff too, and you're totally right. And I was wrong.
You mean you went a little bit deeper inside the numbers?
Yes.
Listen, the draft is a draft. It's all prospects. You know this as well as I do. It could work. It could not work. Tom Brady in the 6th round. You know what I mean? There's no rhyme or reason to how this thing breaks. But I think the NHL draft this year is pretty deep, honestly. There's some pretty good players in the draft. Unfortunately, there's not that guy. There's not that the Connor Bedard guy's not there. Celebrini's not there. Gavin McKenna is the cream of the crop coming out of Penn State, but I don't put him in the same hype train as Bedard and Celebrini were in.
Nah. He goes number 1. So yeah. I see the Flyers making a move that you said yesterday was it yesterday? No, it was Tuesday when I called in. That they have to trade a John LeClair type to get better.
They have to have their John LeClair trade.
And
Danny B has to have his John LeClair trade. Yes.
it could be, it could be what? Tippett? No. I can see him keeping Tippett, building around Tippett and Seagrass. Noah Cates could be expendable. I'm okay with that. Because Martone showed some excellence in the beginning. You know?
Yeah, no, I agree, but you're forgetting about the most obvious player. And I've already mocked up 2 trades that we'll talk about later on in the summer when this is all over with. No.
Okay, because I know you don't like him.
Yeah. Well, I would be 100% willing to part ways with Michkov, but no, it's not Michkov.
Okay.
Because Michkov, I don't think brings you that big of a reward because of the unknown involved with him.
Owen
right now.
Tippett brings you a big reward.
He does, but he doesn't bring you the biggest reward on this team, in my opinion.
Okay, is it?
The golden calf is Travis Konechny.
I'm okay with that, getting rid of. But in order to get, you need a better return. If you're like, you know what I mean?
Oh, no, don't trust me. I'm not giving them away for peanuts, but I've mocked up 2 trades. I'm going to hold on to them. I'm not going to reveal them right now. We will talk about them this summer, but Travis Konechny doesn't fit the Flyers timeline.
Would you be surprised if, who's the pick from 2 years ago? They dump
Jetlachenko.
Would you be surprised if they package Jetlachenko in the deal?
No, I would not. Matter of fact, he's involved in the packaging of my mock trades.
Wait, so MattyB can take the bags and drop them off at the airport? I got you.
No, Jetlachenko is a bust. Now, if I'm wearing my GM hat, you didn't hear me say that. There's a GM out there that if I could package a deal involving a perennial in Konechny, another perennial, and then throw in Jetlachenko and that first round draft pick from the Maple Leafs in 2027, I could pull a trade that's going to significantly change this franchise with return value of 2 players specifically, 2 different teams, 2 different players, but they fit the franchise centerman mold. They are franchise centermen, and they would be that guy that would bring everything, I think, together. Then you could go out and spend that $42 billion in cap space you have on an older center on a 2 or 3 year deal, put him on the third line, and then start really bringing this thing completely together.
I wouldn't trade that Toronto pick, though.
I'm getting rid of it.
It could be number 1 in 2 years.
It could be, but it could also get me what I want in return. Okay. I'm not looking for no Sam Spade come lightly centerman. I'm looking for a former face of a franchise.
Okay.
On both those trades, I'm looking for big time. This would be one of those wow type trades. So if this really happens.
If one of the goalies don't work out, do you get rid of someone?
Yeah. I mean, but unfortunately, with the goalies, we're never going to know. It's going to be 5 years from now before we're still talking about them making that working out or not working out. Goalie is a tough position. Sometimes it takes a while. I know Dan Vladar is a hot name, and yes, he will be back because he's under contract next year, and he rightfully, deservingly so deserves to be back in the starting role. He will be. Next year will be a big year for Vladar. Can he continue this year? If he does, then you got to sit down and make some decisions, probably by the All-Star break, about maybe re-signing him. But the Flyers put themselves in a good position when it comes to the goaltending situation, because now they got a guy who they could potentially use in Vladar going forward if he can continue on next year.
I want to give you some breaking news. The Flyers put in a bid, but were denied the All-Star game. Did you know that?
No. When was the last time it was here? It was a while ago, wasn't it? Like in the 90s when the Core State Center first opened?
Yeah. No, yeah, and it wasn't with the Spectrum. Yeah,
it was the Spectrum, or no? It was Wells Fargo. It was the new one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've had it in the new building. Yeah, I know they have.
So, speaking of new buildings, you know the Flyers are getting a new building, and you want to know where it's being built?
Where?
Where the Spectrum was.
I haven't heard anything permanent about that, Joe. That's all speculation, Joe.
I did ask someone.
I didn't see no ribbon cutting ceremony. That's all speculation.
Nah, I heard from people that work
or in
down.
the or in the know.
No, that people that work down there are saying that it's
That'd
going.
be big news, man. That would be huge news. I know that's what they want to do. And they also want to get the Jethro parking lot. They want to take that over and build something there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know they're working that, and I hope they do. I hope they continue building up that area. I don't want them to branch out in the center city. Stay in that South Philadelphia sports area.
Oh, I don't know if you knew that because they're the reason that the Sixers are staying where they were.
What's that?
Center City said no to the Sixers at first.
I thought she said yes.
And then she said no.
Maybe it was all a big ploy. I think that was all a big ploy.
I got you. Phillies. If the Phillies lose tomorrow, my gut feeling is Cy Nor, Rob Thompson, kick them to the curb. And I'm going to give you some breaking news. You know how it's on Peacock on Sunday? The Phillies game? It's on NBCSN also.
I know all three of them are nationally broadcast all weekend.
No,
I don't think tomorrow's not. I thought tomorrow was FS1 or Fox.
No, that's
I know Fox is Saturday.
Yeah.
Let's see. What is tomorrow? Tomorrow's not FS1? I thought it was.
No, I heard it's
No, you're right. It's local tomorrow. Yep, it is local. And Fox on Saturday and Peacock, as you said, on Sunday.
Which is going to be boring. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch the Sixers game first.
Yeah, it's a big weekend here in Philadelphia this weekend. Big sports weekend.
So it looks like you're right. Game 3 is Wednesday in Philly. I'm surprised they announced it today that it was starting at 7.
I just saw game 1 announcement. I didn't see everything I've seen has been TBD, no dates attached to it. But based on how they usually flow it, it's usually day on, day off, and it's 2 games. It's 2 games, 1 game. That's how they break that down. So,
and Jim Jackson's not doing it because ESPN has the first.
Yeah, no, Jim Jackson won't do it. No, just like when the Phillies go to the playoffs, they don't. Their local guys do the radio, but that's it. It's all national guys.
Not even doing the radio. It's Tim Saunders and Todd Fedora.
Yeah. I mean, that's I don't know the deal they got with, and because Boucher works for TNT, so he's not going to be around doing Flyers. He'd be doing it for the national side.
No, he's going to do the pre and post game for the Flyers. They already said that today.
I don't know how they're going to swing that. He's going to be on location all over the way, unless they're going to put him on the Flyers games.
Yeah. So, I'm going to give you some Eagles news. I think they trade out that pick and move back into the NFL, like near the end of the draft, first round. I think Arizona's going to be calling for that quarterback.
Joe, they're picking 23rd. How much further back are they going to go? 30?
Yes, 31.
So they're going to trade out with Seattle? Arizona's picking 31?
No, they're going to trade back in. They're going to trade out. Arizona's going to come calling. And then the Eagles are going to go where Seattle's pick. Or Patriots.
But how does Arizona factor in all this? Isn't Arizona a top 5?
Arizona has two.
They do.
But they want to move up to get the quarterback.
Okay.
Well, no, is it the Raiders that have? It's the Raiders.
The Raiders have 3 first-round picks.
Raiders are going to trade them to the Eagles.
I think the Jets have 3 as well.
For Max Crosby.
Yeah, we'll see. That's pipe dream stuff right there, man. But I know one player's getting traded on draft night.
It's not A.J. Brown. I don't think so.
Wouldn't be surprised. But then again, I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't. But
I guess ask your buddy that does the Birds Blast.
All right. Well, me and Kyle won't talk again until after the draft. So, but we'll definitely bring up the AJ Brown thing.
Okay.
If he's still an Eagle, and if he's not an Eagle, we'll definitely bring it up too.
I got you.
Yeah.
So, Flyers in 7.
I can see it happening. I definitely can see that happening. I could also see the Penguins in 7. it's a pretty split series when you look at it, when you boil it down. But there are some key areas the Flyers are lacking in that the Penguins are not, and some of those bugaboo areas that have really plagued the team over the last couple seasons: giveaways, special teams, goal scoring in general.
Better penalty kill than Pittsburgh.
I haven't looked that deep into it, but the Flyers penalty kill was 79% effective this year. It's terrible. Yeah. That's absolutely terrible. If you're at 80% or better in the NHL at penalty killing, what are you doing in the playoffs? That's another question. But
they got lucky this year, the Flyers did.
But I'm saying their special teams have been dreadful. Power play has been garbage for 5 years. They have problems giving the puck away. I mean, there's some things that hopefully don't rear their ugly heads in the playoffs because everything's magnified. One play can flip the entire series, and that's tough. That's a tough ask for the Flyers to not do that.
I know somebody else will probably be calling in. So you're doing a post game on Saturday. Which one do you think will be on first?
Probably mine because they don't start till 8.
Oh, I heard it was 7.
No, it's 8.
Okay,
it's 8. So it'll probably be me and then Mike.
I got you.
But the Phillies won't start till 7:20. So, and who knows? I would imagine it would be the Phillies game would be first, unless they go extra innings.
That's it.
All right, Joe. I'm not back on this program again until next, I think, Tuesday, and then that's it. Only one time next week for me. So make sure you catch it.
Is it Monday? Are you doing the
I'll be doing Clear the Ice on Monday.
And not this?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. No, this show's taking a beating because of the Flyers.
I got you. Every show is.
Yeah, every show is, but it's a good problem to have, Joe. All right, man. We'll talk. Have a good weekend. Don't forget, Al's on tomorrow night. Bother him for a while.
Hi.
What's that?
Ricky says hi.
Is he doing better?
A little bit.
Is he going to come home?
Yeah.
Good. Well, tell Ricky I said hi, and we'll be waiting to see him back on this show.
Yep.
All right, Joe Hale, bringing the fire as usual. Painter pitching Sunday. Yep. I think it's, what is it? Walker, Sanchez, Painter. I mean, that's the matchup there for the Phillies starting tomorrow night. Perfect segue, Star Wars. Let's get to the Phillies. Let's get to the fight. Phillies. Joe Hale said if the Phillies, I don't know if did he say that they lose tomorrow night or if they say they get swept, say the Phillies lose the series or get swept out against the Braves, right? What are we looking at? We're looking at 8-13, right? Overall, be 8-13. If they get swept, they'll be 8-13. That's 5 games under 500. Probably somewhere in the realm of 6 games out of first place in the East. For the month, they'd be 6-9 in April. And obviously, I guess it does depend on how they get swept. If they get swept by the same unmotivated, terrible brand of baseball they've been playing all season, and it's not even competitive, and we're talking more double-digit losses, do we wake up Monday morning with a new manager? I don't think so. And again, you know me. This is day 7 of the Fire Rob Thompson watch on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. Right? We're keeping track. I'm keeping track. I want him gone just as much as the next guy wants him gone. But here's the thing: it's not going to happen. It isn't, and it's going to have to get worse. And this is a scary thing to say this. It's going to have to get worse before the Phillies fire Rob Thompson. It's going to have to get a lot worse. Just like the show title of tonight indicates, it's going to have to be like we're partying like it's 2022. Like it's going to have to be somewhere in the 7 games under 500, 10 games out of first place, end of May, early June. That's when it'll get. That's it right there. That's it. It's setting up that way. Because they're going to give, because Dombrowski, of course, you know, he's in the shadows right now, as he typically is, and all execs are at this phase of the season or during the season. They shouldn't be out front, but these are his picks. These are his players. This is his manager. This is all Dave Dombrowski, and not enough venom has been spread over to Dombrowski. And I guess out of sight, out of mind, maybe. But, Thompson's only here because Dombrowski wanted him to stay. Right? Kyle Schwarber's back because of Dombrowski. Alec Bohm is not playing for some other team because Dombrowski fumbled and stumbled and bumbled his way through that whole process. Dave Dombrowski's fingerprints are all over this baseball team, more so than Rob Thompson's. So where is the equal amounts of venom for Dombrowski? I know a lot of people are throwing his name in there now, but, Dave's getting, or not Dave, but Rob's getting the bulk of this, as he should as the manager. But where's the venom for Dave Dombrowski? This is his team. These are his decisions off the field that have led us to this point. And then, of course, the manager has fumbled and bumbled and stumbled his way through the season. But where is the venom towards Dombrowski? And with that being said, Dombrowski is going to ride this cart all the way to hell. Because this is, at the end of the day, he's going to have to get up in front of the media and tell them, essentially, you were right, and the fan base, you were right. I was wrong. I shouldn't have brought him back. We've been wrong the entire time about, what we've been saying. And now I'm going to make a move to Don Mattingly. So it's not, I don't think it's as easy as firing Rob Thompson. It isn't. There's a lot that goes into this. And unfortunately, I don't agree with this. But I think this is the truth, is that it's just too soon. I don't think Dombrowski's looking at this from a standpoint of 5 years of the same stuff. I think he's looking at it as a process of, 18 games. And that's sad, and that's scary, and that's very frustrating. And I agree, it is. But if this thing continues, and I know, the raw emotion of what's been happening, and then last night, Rob Thompson's his press conferences are just unwatchable, and it's not all because of Rob. And I do want to make this very clear to everybody that's listening and everybody that will hear this. The Philadelphia sports media that covers this team, that goes and gets access to that, those conferences, are the softest. They do not represent this city. And I don't know what's happened to the Philadelphia sports media machine, or maybe I just answered my question. It's a machine now. It's corporate run. It's about getting, the money. And in order to get the money, you got to get inside the building. And to get inside the building, you gotta be a certain way, and you got to ask certain questions, the right types of questions. You can't go at them hard anymore like you used to be able to, and get them all pissed off and flustered like you used to. Can't do that no more. And it's so bad. I'm listening to these questions last night about Luzardo tipping potentially, which I guess is a valid question. But not one person that I heard asked Rob Thompson straight up, your team has committed 15 errors in 18 games. How can you explain that and justify that? Not one person asked that question. It was sort of asked inside of a question about fundamentals, but nobody went and ripped the Band-Aid off and said, why is your baseball team coming out of spring training? Why have they committed 15 errors in 18 games? And how can you please justify that to us? These are professional baseball athletes who just finished spring training and now are here. What were you guys doing down in Florida? Was there even drills happening? And I know Rob Thompson went over the practice schedule somewhat in order to justify that they are working on it. But not one question was asked like that. Our sports media in this town that gets the opportunity to cover these teams, and of course, I will never be able to cover the Phillies. I'd be thrown out in day one. I wouldn't even get through the front door. For oh, no. Get him the hell out of here. No, I would not be allowed to be there because I would ask questions that would And I wouldn't care. I don't have a hand to feed, right? I feed my own hand, but I'm going to ask questions the way I want them to be asked. It's terrible, the Philadelphia sports media, everything, and that's why everyone wants to jump all over WIP for taking hot takes and controversial stands on things. And they got their hands in the pockets of the Phillies as it is, man. I mean, they are a huge part of the Phillies. A lot of their money comes from the Phillies, but yet they still take the stands against them. And I love it, man. I love that type of stuff. So say what you want about WIP, man, but they're at least trying to keep the integrity going. Why the hell did the Phillies give Thompson an extension? He's safe until June. I gave him an extension because I don't want him to be a dead man walking, right? Lame duck manager, all that. You don't ever want a manager to go into a season like that. I mean, his extension was like a year. I mean, that's all it was. Or was it 2 years? It was something stupid. He's been living like that since he's been here. And as far as your second point, MP, yeah, I think you're right. I think he is safe till June. I do. And that's unfortunate because it's going to get worse. So that means it's got to get worse before it gets better. He's going to have at least total of 70 games, close to the halfway. And I know that's a hard reality for a lot of people to take in, and I'm one of those people. It's a hard reality for me to have to hear, but that's the truth, man. Absolutely. Rob Thompson is going to be here for a minute. No matter how much more they lose and how more, pathetic they look in the process. But, I wonder at what point with the team the way they are in terms of their age. And I think it was Al who brought this up the other night, saying that the Phillies might be punting on the season. And I don't really understand that point. How do you punt on a team that's your core players are in their mid-30s? How do you sacrifice the season for any reason when you do have a window of winning that has to be given its due, and these guys aren't getting any younger? How do you sacrifice a season? So I know there's a narrative floating around out there that there's a potential of that going on, that they're tanking the season or they're punting on the season for a better opportunity post CBA, new CBA, maybe post salary cap era, whatever the new CBA is going to look like. That they're kind of biding their time for that. That absolutely makes no sense to me. It's not like these players are not going to get a year older in that process. They are. Yeah, so I don't get that narrative. But how much does that change, though, the timeline on perhaps replacing Rob Thompson? With the fact that this core is getting older, the window is closing. We have history, our own recent Phillies history, post, the 08 era, how that friggin' unraveled. Do we actually want to go back down that road again? I mean, I think it's uber important that the Phillies maximize every part of this season. And honestly, firing Rob Thompson, I guess it would have to come down to Dave Dombrowski sitting there saying, do I envision Rob Thompson taking this team any further into the future? And obviously he does at this point because Rob Thompson's not been fired yet. And that's unfortunate. That's truly unfortunate. He's probably the only one who sees that. All right, man. I'm starting to wind down. So the Phillies continue to limp along. Let's get into the other night segment and let's bring this thing home. It's been a late day for me, or a long day for me today. Long day. So let's get into the other night segment. Yeah, the other night segment tonight, we're going 3 for again. We're doing Phillies prospect, MLB draft prospect, and NHL draft prospect. Carrying on the 3 for 3 mantra, we're gonna stay 3 for 3, I think, until we roll through these. I'm painfully behind on the MLB draft. I'm about where I need to be on the NHL draft, and I'm also where I need to be on the Phillies prospects. But we're gonna kick this thing into overdrive for the near future, especially. At least until I get back 5 nights a week. Then once I get back 5 nights a week, maybe we'll go down to 1 or 2 a night. But for the near term, we're going to continue doing the 3 first. So let's roll the dice and let's break it out here. Let's lead it off with the Phillies prospect of the day. A great looking young player, second baseman Arun Escobar. Currently, he's in Double A. Got the promotion late last season from High A to Double A. Started the season out this year in Reading. A strong and compact right-handed hitter, Escobar has steadily improved his ability to turn his high contact rates into finding the barrel consistently and doing damage. He's got an advanced approach at the plate, drawing walks and limiting his swing and miss and chase with very impressive in-zone rates. He might have plus raw power, and he started tapping into it last season, particularly to his pull side, which is great news. It should show up more naturally as he continues to improve his pitch selection. Some see a future plus hitter in these, and that could lead to a plus pop as well. While Escobar is fringy and from a pure speed standpoint, he's aggressive on the base pass and has shown an acumen to swipe bases. He's never going to wow anyone defensively, but he's settled in at second and looks like he has a chance to develop into a bat first regular at the Keystone at the big league level, and will play in the upper levels in 26 at age 21. That's a big thing. He's going up into the upper levels of the minor leagues at 21 years old. He's a draft pick of the Phillies future a couple of years back. If you're looking at long-term with Escobar, you probably would hope to see him up in Lehigh at some point late season this year. Start 2027 out at AAA. And then maybe kind of roll the dice and see where his development is in line with Bryson Stott's departure at the end of 2027. Stott is a free agent at the end of the 2027 season. Do the Phillies envision Escobar stepping in and being the second baseman of the future? I think right now, if you had to corner Dombrowski and say, is that the plan? And he had to give you an answer, he'd probably say, that's probably one of the answers. But his path, his ascension, is definitely lining up to fit that situation where he would have an opportunity, hopefully works his way up to AAA at some point this year, at least finishes the season at AAA, and then starts next season in Lehigh, has a full season under his belt, and then takes over or gets an opportunity to start the 2028 season as a candidate to replace Bryson Stott at second base. So he is one of your young, rising, potential future Phillies. Number 5 currently in the system as Phillies prospects go, and a good young player. I highly recommend going out, and if you're in the Reading area, go check him out. He's a good young player, and that is your Phillies prospect of the night. Perhaps your future second baseman, Arun Escobar. And again, I think the way his ceiling kind of lines up right now, or it's not his ceiling, but his trajectory lines up, it in theory will intersect Stott, right? In theory, Stott's a free agent at the end of 27, and I don't think people are lining up to re-sign him. Is there a potential upgrade there in Escobar stepping in 2028? I think the Phillies would like that. Again, he's a high riser in their system. He's a high prospect in their system. Not currently the 5th ranked Phillies prospect, Arun Escobar. And again, I really, 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 really recommend you going out and getting an opportunity to see him play if you're in the Reading area. Yeah, Escobar is exciting. I agree, Elephant. All right, let's keep moving on to our MLB draft prospect of the night. And that would be Mr. Jacob Lombard, a shortstop from Gulliver Prep, Florida, 18-year-older, bat right, birth date season 07, right-handed, 6'3", 185 pounds, 6'3", shortstop. Alec Bowman, everybody. I mean, I know that when I first read that, when I was putting this together, I'm like 6'3". So now we're making Alec Bowman shortstop. And could you imagine the Phillies hurting out a middle infield that consisted of the 6'5" Bowman at third and a 6'3" shortstop? Oh God. But he's a commit to Miami. So who knows what his decision will be once he, obviously it'll probably depend on where he's drafted, on whether or not he decides to uh, forego it or enter, GoPro, whatever he wants to do. But he is considered a consensus top 10 in this year's current draft. So I don't know, man. I don't know. 6'3" shortstop just doesn't really ring my bell. A 6'3" premium athlete at a premium position. Lombard is a right-handed hitter with plenty of juice in his bat. He's got the acumen to be a plus hitter in the future, though he did have some swing and miss on fastballs up in the zone over the summer. That's last summer, during the Summer Collegiate League, with a bat path that wasn't matching the velocity he was facing. He's already added strength and speed of late with potential plus power. His main weakness might be that he's a people pleaser. Oh, good God. And listened to too much advice on the showcase circuit, with most evaluators believing he'll just be fine once he lets his athleticism play. He's an uneasily plus runner who should be a threat to run at the next level. I guess maybe they're growing them differently now. 6'3" is a premium athlete. I don't know about shortstop. And the people pleaser thing, God damn. Unfortunately, he's not going to probably ever meet Rob Thompson, but Rob would probably love him. But Jacob Lombard, again, consensus top 10, I'm hearing, but he's already committed to Miami. But I guess we'll see where he falls in this year's draft. I'm not lining up to sign a 6'3" shortstop. Maybe I could sign him or draft him and then convert him to a first baseman. Now, a 6'3", 185-pound first baseman, I can sink my teeth into, but not a 6'3", 185-pound shortstop. Jacob Lombard, though, is your MLB draft prospect of the night. And now let's wrap it up with your NHL draft prospect, as Joe Hale apparently did some more digging and realized that this draft is pretty deep. I don't know why does it take my word for it. We talk about these players every night. Nikita Kleptov from the Saginaw Spirit of the OHL, 6 foot, 183-pound forward, highly skilled, 6 foot, 206 NFL draft eligible left wing for the OHL's Saginaw Spirit, noted for his elite offensive creativity, strong skating, and dominant puck possession skills. Keplev is a creative force with a dangerous shot and excellent puck handling skills in small spaces. He's highly effective at carrying the puck on long journeys through the offensive zone, often creating odd man rushes. If you want to give him a comp, you're looking at a Pavel Bure type comp, for those of you that remember who that was. Sort of that smaller, compact, not quite. I mean, 6 foot is about as small as I'll go when it comes to a player that wants to play like this. But he definitely has that pedigree. And what's good about him is he's a Russian, but he forego playing in the KHL and for playing in the Ontario Hockey League. So he's been playing on North American ice for at least the last 3 years. So there's not that transitional phase you have to worry about him, getting used to North American ice or the North American game as far coming out the KHL. So he's a top 5 prospect as well in this year's draft. Anybody looking for some, wing experience, some lightning speed off the wing. And, unfortunately, he's never going to see orange and black. But Nikita Keplev is your NHL draft prospect of the night. And that's it. We wrap up the segment with that. And we did 3 more tonight. That's good stuff. And I think that's going to take me to the end of another rousing week. 2 episodes in the books this week. Looking at 1 next week. And then it's all bets are off right now. We're just playing it day by day. But the Flyers are definitely the front page news here, as they will start the playoffs on Saturday. Once again, here's your Clear the Ice schedule, tentative schedule. And when I say tentative, I'm not sure about these dates or days. I'm going off of my hockey knowledge and my experience level that this is how it might break down. But we are going to start on Saturday, 8 p.m. in Pittsburgh. Mike Lauro will be on the call for that. I will have you on game 2 tentatively on Monday. Mike will be back for game 3, and I'll have you for game 4 on Friday, my birthday. So I'm working my birthday. If these days change, obviously we'll keep you up to date, but the hosts will not. So Mike will be game 1, I will be game 2, Mike will be game 3, I will be game 4, and we'll continue that way through the rest of the series until we get to the end of it. So this is what Clear the Ice will look like a 90% resolution for the playoffs. So make sure you're keeping up, keeping tabs, checking in, and all those great things as we are getting ready to jump into unknown territory on Clear the Ice, folks. A playoff run. Can't believe it. But it's exciting. Here is your Fighting's final schedule. Braves Friday night. It'll be Al and part of a twofer, as Al will also be back for the Friday night frenzy. And then I'll have you the rest of the weekend on Saturday night and on Sunday night, bringing you Phillies Braves coverage until we get set for the 3-game or 4-game set. That's I guess a future programming note. We will for this 4-game set in Chicago, we are only going to cover 3 of those games, because on Thursday, April 23rd, there you go. We will have complete first round coverage of the NFL draft here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. The Gridiron Weekly guys are going to head it up, but there'll be people popping in and popping off all night long. Make sure you're here getting all the great stuff that they will give you for this draft. See where the Eagles do, see where your favorite team does. So can't wait for that. I want to thank everybody for a great week. I know it's been tough, especially for the fans of this show, and I appreciate you sticking with me. And we'll get back to 5 days a week, or 5 days a week here soon, I promise. But if we're not doing 5 days a week, that's because the Flyers are in the playoffs. And if we continue to run that thing through June, so be it. And we'll take it as far as we can. But I will be back for 5 days a week at some point in the near future. In the meantime, you just have to enjoy seeing me on post games and getting in on here when you can. But we will talk again on the final word on Tuesday night, I believe. That's not when I'll be back. Yeah, Tuesday night. Yeah. And then that's all for the final word for next week. But you'll be seeing me all over the place. Again, you'll be seeing me twice this weekend, and then on game 3 or game 2 on Monday. So I'll be all over the place. So make sure you're checking us all out, and everybody else here on the network. Until we talk again, guys, have a great weekend. Make sure you're tuned in tomorrow night for the Philly Friday Frenzy and the Fighting's final. Big Al will have you. And until I talk to you guys again, take care. Enjoy your Friday. Welcome to the weekend, and we'll see you.